State lawmakers introduced a red flag bill on Thursday that would allow a judge to order the temporary removal of firearms from individuals who are perceived to be a danger to themselves or others. A similar bill was introduced last year but was shut down by the Republican-controlled Senate. David, you're one of the leading Second Amendment experts in the nation, let alone this table. So what do we need to know about this bill, and even as we compare it to what happened last year?
Well, here's some background. The Uniform Law Commission is a national body that writes model laws for states to consider adopting. Last November, they created a working group to consider the creation of a national model law on this topic. And they brought in people from all across the spectrum. I was on that. There were people, law enforcement, National Sheriff's Association, somebody from the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the pro-gun groups, the anti-gun groups, the state courts, very wide group of people. In our meetings, almost all of us agreed that it was a good idea to go forward and for the Uniform Law Commission to create a national model bill. The opponents, only opponents, were the Giffords group, one of the anti-gun groups these days, and they didn't like the idea of the uniform commissioners creating a national model which would reflect compromise, the input of both sides, all those kinds of things. They wanted only their model to be the only thing that was out there. And then in January, when the national commissioners came up, the Giffords group exercised enough of its political clout and got the national commissioners to choose not to draft a fair, uniform model. So instead, what we get is their much more extreme model on which this bill is based. Former Republican Representative Cole Wist supported the 2018 bill. He does not support this 2019 bill because, in his view, it goes backwards on due process. And we can get into the details of that in a future show. But people who think, well, who cares about it? It's only gun owners in terms of due process. This is a concept that once it comes into law, it's not going to just be used for guns. It will be applied, and there will be models based on this on other types of laws to take people's constitutional rights away without a hearing where they even get a chance to participate. So we ought to be very careful on this.
And it's only been a day or so, but what's the reaction been on Capitol Hill, especially with Democrats controlling all levers of the government right now?
I think the reaction is exactly what you expect. It's a partisan split. It's expected to pass. I'm going to answer a question you didn't ask, and I'm going to be very political here, Dominic, in doing that. In saying I don't cover public safety, I don't cover gun issues normally, but I did spend 9 years covering health care. And in terms of behavioral health, the red flag bill is a red herring. What it does is it says that people are such dangers to society, particularly because of their behavioral health, that their guns should be taken away from them. It then goes into great detail about how you take those away, how they may get them back. What it does not do is offer a centimeter of help for anyone who is a target of this. It says simply, we'll take your guns. There is no effort to get these people help. There is no funding in here to get these people behavioral needs. Quite frankly, if we are setting up a society where we're saying these people are so dangerous to society they should not have guns, why aren't we asking, why are they even in society? Why aren't we getting these people the help they need, pulling them out of society and dealing with their behavioral health issues, not just taking away something that is a hot button issue? So I don't know that there will be anything that comes to that end in this bill, but it's really something people should think about if they care about health.
Anna, we have the great luxury today to have two Capitol Hill reporters with us. What do you think about the support shown so far for the bill, especially that included law enforcement officers and others? It's while it might be partisan, there are some other folks speaking up for this bill.
Yeah, I think law enforcement is in a unique position, especially when you see Tony Spurlock of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. The bill is named for one of his deputies who died trying to negotiate with one of these people who had a mental health issue. And for them, I think, I believe it was the Boulder County Sheriff who famously said he runs the largest mental health facility in his county. And they're in a difficult spot, right? They feel like they're on the front line of this issue. They're walking into these situations. These people may be armed. And to get to Ed's point, we're not providing a lot of wraparound services for them. So the officers sort of go in blind and hope for the best. And in a lot of these situations, it's tragic. And but one of the most interesting parts about that is when you hear Tom Sullivan, who is an advocate for this, he's a representative, he lost his son in the Aurora Theater shooting. He said, for the most part, that's not what they're trying to address. They're trying to address suicide. He thinks like 90% of these red flag or extremist protection orders will be issued on people with suicidal ideation. He thinks it's only in the rare case that they could be violent towards others. And that does sort of raise that question of, well, what do we do once we say, okay, this person is seriously considering suicide enough to the point where they need to have these weapons removed? I kind of wonder if it comes into how you get your weapons back. The judge has a lot of broad discretion in that. They can hold as many or as little hearings as they want. They actually do have the provision to order drug and alcohol and mental health evaluations. So I don't know if the judges then have enough latitude to order them into treatment.
Pat, it's clearly a hot button issue. Does it become a slam dunk, or is there more conversation with this involved?
Well, around this table there will be. I think Ed's point is great, except pigs are going to fly when this legislature is able to really come up with a good plan right now to deal with mental health. This is a Band-Aid on the problem. And I think to add a Band-Aid to the Band-Aid, to deal with the due process issue and dial it back a little bit to where we were in 2018 would make some sense. But when you see the tragedies that have happened, and when you hear law enforcement and Tom Sullivan talking about why they think they need this, it's a pretty compelling argument for the bill if they can Band-Aid over the problems with it.